ImmuniTEA? The stakes are high, the alliances are forming, and the tea is brewing. Brace yourselves for blindsides, epic challenges, and the ultimate Survivor showdown.
Hey, here we are. Welcome to Spill the Immunity. I am Bree. I'm joined, as always, by my two favorite guys, Brandon and Alex. Well, Alex, you weren't here when Brandon and I were talking, but I want to kind of start out with what you asked me, Brandon, and that you want to ask the question because I think it's a good one.
I think it is too. I'm just wondering, I'm going to ask it in a different way though, if that's okay. I just didn't know if there's a problem with the colors of our photos. I'm noticing that there's a little bit more black and white than usual on Alex's kind of yearbook pictures of our Survivor pics. Is something wrong with the color?
Alex is like, I'm not even going to talk to you about that.
It's curious.
You're muted, but I'll keep you muted.
Yeah, now they're muting me. Look at this. I mean, look at this treatment by longtime Brandon. I won't even steep to your level.
Oh, no.
I'm above this. I have Genevieve on my team. Okay, we're classy. We're loyal.
Genevieve.
We're gonna get into that Genevieve stuff. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I know. I guess that's not a very good defense because she's now teaming up with Andy. Not looking good for me. Yeah, actually,
but at least she knows what she's about to team with. Like she is fully understanding of what this is all about.
Right. Yeah, I know. The only bad thing about last night is that I'm gonna get chewed a new one here on the podcast, but that's okay. Interesting. We were just saying, oh, I'm so glad they didn't do the mix-up team, and I was like, oh man, I don't really like this because this puts Genevieve in a bad spot and my team. And then it all turned out in my favor. I said, hey, I like this change. I like this, this twist in the Survivor game because, Tayana got voted off. I like Tayana. I think she's great. But we kind of called it from the beginning. She just doesn't have that killer instinct. She just isn't, in it as much. And so it was sad, Well, she was, that was these emotions. These people, they're like, I'm going to be devastated. I'm like, don't be devastated. It's fine. It's all good. You got pretty far. Yeah. You don't need to be devastated.
One day short, baby.
Yeah. I would say the most devastating besides the number one boot, besides being the number one boot,
right,
is this position. You do not want to be voted out right before being on the jury. And I think it's more important to be on that jury than it is to be a part of the merged tribe. Yes, you get one more survivor, check off the list, but man, I would be more upset with my vote out happening right before a jury thing compared to making a merge.
Well, yeah, just ask Sandra.
Yes. Yeah.
Sandra can tell you all about that boot that's right before jury that she has been, she either wins it or she goes right before jury and doesn't make it. So she knows all about that. But I do want to get to that question, Brandon, and that is this season is turning out
that question, yes,
to be quite a season.
Number one of the new era for sure. As far as just consistency, I still love, I have my mad love for Queen D. But this one, I've enjoyed the advantages better. I've enjoyed the fact that there is no strongest tribe. There is no really terribly weakest tribe, and everybody's playing this game. Whether it's good or bad is a different question, but everybody's playing. Love it. Alex, your thoughts?
No, last episode wasn't, the Rome vote was very, kind of expected, but no, this episode was really great. I really liked it. I like the twist because, Blue went home, and I think, however the producers managed that are just the survivor gods, as they say, right? Really, I think did a well job at balancing out the game a little bit more and creating more of a disruption because we were talking about this last week. Blue was in a really strong position. They were in a really strong position. They could have kind of bulldozed through the game. Now the teams are a little bit more even, and we're going into very competitive season, and I'm looking forward to it. So, no.
And Brennan here standing strong with the only untouched team now at this point. Only started with 2 and still has both his 2 guys over there. So Brendan, you're winning right now. That's how it looks to me. I don't know. I do want to talk about the Genevieve and Andy thing a little bit because, you know, she was like, I'm going to stick with Andy now. But then, I mean, he's already kind of not making good choices.
Whether they're just doing this to provide an Andy type edit, or he is just as careless about his play as he is. Again, we had another Andyism where everybody was sleeping. Not everybody even had their buff on their eyes. Like Saul at least waited for everybody to put something heavy over their eyes. You had Sierra, who was wearing her little mesh hat and probably watching every given move, which is smart on her part. I don't think if someone had a mesh hat on, I would obviously probably wait until they have the true blinder on, the buff. But you know, searching through everything, classic Andy. So Alex, you're the guy that has both of these guys on your team. So it's our first of us four, of us five now with Brennan, 100% Brennan over here, that has an alliance on your team. How do you feel about the Andy Genevieve alliance?
Yeah, I just think it's a Genevieve, supreme tactical Genevieve move where she sees the opportunity that Andy is, one of the wounded baby birds on the tribe and can kind of poke at him and get some information. And I think just like with the Rome situation, we talked about this last week too. The women are in a strong position. They came in with 7, they're now 6, but it's still 6v5. The women do kind of share a similar mind, and I think Genevieve could kind of go in between. She's kind of in a really nice in-between position in between both tribes. We've seen Saul, who's emerged, and I think he will be kind of closest to the Genevieve and the Teeny situation. But now he's trying to bring in Rachel, and Rachel was kind of on the outside of Gata. And so if you look at that, I mean, personality type, Tiny, Teeny, Genevieve, Rachel, Solomon, that's a solid 4. You don't really have a solid 4 anywhere else, right? And then Andy could come into that and make a majority. You'd have 3 blue. And I'm curious to see, I didn't actually watch the end. Did Kyle vote for Tiana?
Yes.
I would believe he would, because he wants to be on the right side of the numbers and be with the majority and, whatever.
Yeah, I think everybody voted Tiana except for Tiana.
Yeah. Right. She was so shocked. It was weird. She was like so shocked. She was like devastated, literally. But it was like she knew when that happened, she was gone. Like Kyle had immunity. She gone.
Yeah, and I almost thought for a second that we were going to get like a Redemption Island thing because they were showing a lot of her exit. I was like, wait, hold on.
They are showing extended exits.
Yeah,
like walking down the path.
They've been pretty emotional and stuff like that. I think they're like playing up to that, giving us a little bit more. Production's doing a pretty good job this season. I'm not, except for the poor Andy, that they didn't need to show. The memes that have come from that challenge have been hysterical.
Yeah.
Poor Andy.
It was really funny at the beginning when they had the Andy edit when he was on the beach, and it was like Andy's descent into madness, and it was like people are coming up, like popping up and saying things. It was like he was like Simba, you know what I mean? It's like Mufasa's talking to him. Yeah, Andy, you need to team up with Genevieve.
Jeff is holding him.
Jeff, he visions himself. He's like putting the idol on him. I'm thinking Teeny and Genevieve and Saul, and now you bring in Rachel. I love Saul's reaction. What happened? Who did that? What? He's the worst liar. Saul's really bad. I mean,
he thinks he's so good, though.
Even with Andy, like his little interaction with him was really funny. He's just kind of getting bulldozed, like in every situation. Like Andy's bullying Saul, like that's Saul, bro. So yeah, that's just funny on Tribal. Saul, what? Who did that?
I know Kung Fu. Same voice. Same voice.
I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on Caroline's view of Rachel, because she said, "I think she's the smartest player in the game."
maybe like an IQ score.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out, because she mentioned that plus with the, I think her intelligence, but also just being able to talk to whomever and have this, seemingly deep social game with everybody there. But I would think that that would just be a given that, her number one is gone on a weaker tribe at times. So I would think that she's needing to play this. I still haven't seen her do any single move. And I like flashy moves, I'll admit that. But I haven't seen her have a social game that stated to me, hey, I have like 3 or 4 people in my pocket, like a Gabe and Sue, which I think is the most underground alliance there is in this game, and probably for a while now. The fact that they voted and Tiana was so surprised that they voted her out unanimously. I'm the Sue Gabe alliance is a very secretive alliance, and they may have just been found out in this episode a little bit. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I was going to say she has that good cover of Caroline, right? So she has that they're not seeing it because they think, oh, it's Caroline and Sue are so tight.
Yeah.
Caroline, Sue of Rachel. I just don't think Caroline's a good read on people. Like that she's teaming up with Gabe. And she thinks that she's the closest with Sue. And I could see why she would think that. But I would kind of look at Gabe and Sue and I would see kind of a personality match there just because of kind of both of their, demeanor and, and how kind of so, yeah.
I think Caroline showed way too much of her hand at tribal for me personally. So when Jeff was asking those questions, she was giving extremely well thought out answers that I thought were very telling of her perception of the game and her understanding and ability to manipulate the game, because she was saying, there are you want to make the big moves, but then you also need to make the smaller moves and the quieter moves. And you have to do it. Like, she was really kind of laying out how she was going to play the game. And if anyone's picking up on that, because they were all there, though they only half were voting. And I think that when you aren't voting and you aren't involved, but you're watching and you're part of it, you really have that perspective where you can pay attention closer to what everyone is saying.
Yep.
And I think that the 6 that were safe, if any of them were smart enough, could see what Carolyn was throwing out there, and she was literally laying out her game plan.
And I want to talk about that for a second too. The fact that she did that, laid out her game at probably the worst time to ever lay out your game, not based on the quantity of people there, but the fact that you have 6 people or 5 people, however many it is that were listening, was it 6, that were completely immune. They didn't even have to decide how to vote. So they have all this brain space available that they can actually be like, okay, let's watch this from the perspective now of, I don't have to worry about getting voted out. I don't have to worry about who I'm putting a vote on. I get to watch and kind of pick different pieces of whomever and try to make all these people up there have some strategy. Think that deeper thoughts, like you were saying, Bree. And I think she may have opened up a lot, even too much. I agree.
Well, it was the conversation that she was having with Tiana, and she was like, it's written all over her face. And they're like, she's really stressed right now. And yeah. I just don't think Caroline, she just seems to get, like, even when Gabe was telling us, no, as Rome was telling a story, she was like hanging on every word. Like she's very kind of like attentive and intense, and I think she could be kind of duped pretty easily, but especially by Gabe and by Sue, and she'll be completely blindsided and shocked that Gabe and Sue would do that. But it puts Gabe in an interesting position, and Tiana was the person saying Gabe is a threat and we need to get Gabe out, and it was interesting to see Tiana and Caroline when they were talking. Caroline kind of jumped on and was like you saw the business school come out, and she just really got on her. And I was going to say too, the vote out for Tiana, that was rough. Her face, she's like holding in the tears. She's like, her face was like contorting into a million, trying not to cry.
Yeah, I almost think though with Caroline that it's not so much intensive and taking in everybody's word at face value and their emotions at face value. I almost wonder for her if that's part of her game. I don't know if you saw this or not, but when Tiana was voted out, she was the only one that was kind of shaking her head. It was like, not this way or whatever. And man, I think that it's a part of a ploy. I think she does feel those emotions, but I think that she's trying to actively show people she's feeling those emotions a little bit more than just emotions alone. I think there
like
is
a Sue or a Gabe, right? Where they're cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I was Tiana, I would have been like, Caroline, if you vote me off, I will curse you forever. How can you live with yourself?
Right?
I just said I would have like gotten gotten on that level with her to not get voted off.
Well, the one thing that Carolyn said in this episode that she's definitely getting wrong in this game is she said about Rachel that she thinks Rachel is the glue of the Gata tribe.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was way off base.
How does she even think that to be like, how is that the case? She knows that Sierra and Sam are close. She knows that Andy is probably looking up to Sam, right? Even though the relationship is strained. I mean, she is in the worst position out of everybody, right? But that puts her in a good swing position to create this kind of new alliance with Saul
and yet,
and Genevieve. And yet,
they sent an advantage to Rachel to save her.
Right. But I think that was just solely to mess up Blue and to...
It was. But, if Caroline is like thinking Rachel is the glue and like someone sending her something. I mean, I'm just thinking it does kind of reinforce. I know they're trying to save, but like to them, it would be like, why save them?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just trying.
Gata.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's two decisions too that Saul could have made. He could have done steal a vote, right?
No, Rachel had the choice.
What was it?
It was steal a vote or safety without power, but the choice was Rachel's.
I'm sorry. I got a phone call. This is a really good podcast. Can you just repeat what you said?
Oh. I said the choice was on Rachel to choose which one she wanted.
Oh, it was her choice. It wasn't Saul's choice.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So, but the option was she could steal a vote or she could save herself. Mm-hmm. Right.
And stealing a vote wouldn't save herself necessarily when you have 5 people voting for you. So she had no choice but to take safety without power to save herself. I agree.
I mean, it would have been a better, it would have been maybe cooler if she was like, I'm going to steal a vote from Gabe. And then I'm going to tell everybody what's going on. Kyle, you. But then that doesn't, it wouldn't have been a good move for Kyle. It probably even wouldn't have been a good move for Tiana. To vote Gabe off, like when the conversation with Caroline and like, honestly, their strategy should have been to go back strong as a tribe and vote together as a block. Right. That would have been, the ideal scenario for them. Cause they do have this scenario is like, well, we go back and it's 5 versus 6 and the 6 is going to pick off the 5. It's possible, but I think it's worse to go back with 4 because you saw in the preview for the next episode, they're still the target. Right. Because that group has kind of solidified over there and everybody else is pretty much even numbers as well. So given the target.
Given that to Rachel, that was a no-brainer on Saul's part. I don't know why he spent more than 10 seconds thinking about this because you have a group who the only person they ever voted off was TK. How dare they? But now they get to not only vote off that second person, kind of figure out these cracks, but they get to do it in front of everybody. So Saul, that was a smart move on his part. What do you guys think about that advantage? Love it, hate it?
Loved it.
I did too.
I am really, really liking the way they're doing things. I have to say I wasn't as crazy about the amulet because I feel like we've had that, 3 people share something and then they target each other and everything. And the players turned that one on. It's like they spun that on the producers who were like, oh yeah, we're just going to get rid of it. And we don't even care if we need to use, obviously they didn't need to use the idol on Teeny, but like it was just like so well played by the players to like screw with the production and Jeff and everybody who thought this was going to be really cool. So yeah, I'm really liking some of the stuff that they're putting out there. And I mean, we're getting the auction again, so life is good.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see. It's not going to be the same as last one now, so they're going to keep changing it slightly, doing some different things, new twists in it. So I'm interested to see how that's going to go. I wanted to get back to one of the questions that Brendan had in the chat, because I thought it was really good, but I wanted to wait to get to it. And it's this one. So how does Saul close those loose ends now, though? Does he tell Rachel and Gata that he gave Rachel? Is he going to own up to being the one that did it?
Well, that would make the most amount of sense, but it's a misread on his part to say, oh, well, now I can go to Gata and I can build a relationship with Sierra and all these people. But he's misreading the situation. They don't care about Rachel, right?
I think it's twofold. One, I think he should have told everybody he found it when he did and say what kind of advantage of it is. The reason being, he's not going to be in trouble. He's got to give this to somebody. So it's going to be played. So there's going to be suspicion about who this is. The second thing you have to do is when you have this thing is try to figure out, so who are the people that are on my tribe who are in the season? And is it going to be easy to kind of give somebody else credit for this move? Or you can't do it with Andy. Andy can't lie very well. Andy can't do anything very well when it comes to hiding this. So everybody's going to know that he wasn't the one who did that. Maybe you can get Genevieve. People thinking Genevieve did this kind of move, but I think he has a little bit more of an alliance with Genevieve, so he wouldn't want to destroy that. And then I don't know if he knows Sierra and Sam so much, and one might tell the other and be suspicious of the other. So I don't think that you give it or try to cast blame or credit to a power couple. So in that situation with those exact players in this game, I think you tell the group, hey, I have this. I need to give it to somebody. It's part of the game rules. How should we use this? And I think that's the best way to. I think the best.
They all would have had a consensus to give it to Rachel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you would have seen like maybe somebody was like, maybe you shouldn't give it to Rachel, or maybe you shouldn't. And then you get to see, are there other relationships I'm not aware of because this person's a little hesitant to give it to Rachel. So I think and you could have seen right then and there that she wasn't the glue there, but I thought she was. Or you could see how close the Andy, Sierra, and Sam relationship and Rachel relationship was. So I would have, knowing those players, said, hey, guys, I have to give it to somebody.
Yeah, I think he needed to say, oh, my dogs are going to bark now, but I think he really should have said something to them before just surprising everyone and acting all like, because now he did lie. He lied about it, and they're going to find out. Obviously somebody did it. It's going to come out. And yeah, I don't think Andy.
I would say he shouldn't tell anybody, but he's such a bad liar. He'll be like, me? No. What? Even when he found the idol, he was so nervous. He was like, he's like, I'd be like, are you okay, Saul? Everything good over there?
I'm so sneaky. No one knows.
Yeah, we did find it. Nobody knew,
sure.
But like, yeah. I think it's because they don't expect anything out of him. Ooh, just joking.
Yeah. I like what Brennan said too. Like, what if Andy had found it? Because he was looking. What would he have done with it?
He would have played it on Gabe. No, I don't know. No, he wouldn't have. I probably would have given it to Rachel, I would think, but I don't know. He doesn't have a good relationship with Rachel, like, at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that was the play to create the most chaos, so I think that every single person on red would have done that. Mm-hmm. The only exception is if somebody was on blue had found it, and then they would have given it to like Gabe or something. They would have done steal a vote, or given it to Sue or Caroline. They would have done steal a vote, so the person on the outside wouldn't be able to vote. That was crazy though. Have we ever seen that before, where they do a tribe swap or the challenge, and it's literally all one team and then one other person on the outside? I mean, that was pretty ideal. That
has happened when they've dropped their buffs and mixed the teams up. Not at a challenge, but like we've seen that happen, but not. I don't think I've seen it in a challenge like that. I want to get into the challenge just a little bit because I love this challenge. This is one of my favorites. I love it when they have to do things, and it's not necessarily what the challenge was. I mean, that was hard to hold that and balance everything and stand on a balance beam. But I love live transitions because so much happens during live transitions. So you don't get to like grab the ball, step forward on a smaller thing, reset yourself, take that breath that you need to like move and then get back into it. You're literally, there's no break, and you have to be able to move into the next position without screwing anything up or you're out. I love those. I think those are fun.
It's hard for me to say that this is a Kyle immunity win, though. He did not outlast everybody there. And it makes sense. On the losing tribe, you are playing a separate contest or whatever. But and the team who did win, they got a substantial award with not having to go to tribal, everybody. So I get it. I love that. But it's hard for me to say that, you know, will we say that if Kyle wins 5, that he's one of those 5 immunity idol winners, or will there be a little asterisk?
Oh, that's a good question.
Good question.
Thank you. I think it's an asterisk. I think it's enough.
What does Brennan think? Yeah, I don't. That's tough because yes, he wore the necklace and he did outlast everyone on his team.
He did what the rules stated to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he technically was the only one with immune. I mean, there was an entire tribe that have immunity, but they weren't really at tribal. So it is an interesting question. Yeah. Right. One for the history books.
Right. And, I mean, and he probably had the best reward of all, that he not only had immunity, but he got to be a part of voting somebody out. So, you know, way to go, Kyle. But that's
no ribs.
It's so weird. So weird.
You really see his, you know, he's from the UP. So Bree knows, you call him Upers. And he's really got that thick Uper accent. I mean, you really heard it coming out on this episode, his Uper accent. And he's like, you know, he looks like a Southern guy, but when you you kind of, sometimes that Uper accent, that UP Upper Michigan accent, you think it's like, it kind of sounds, but this episode, I'm an appreciator of the thick Uper accent. So, and such a nice, I mean, he's easily the nicest, most likable, you know, the most honest dumbass, his words out there. And it's interesting. Will he become this challenge beast? You know, because you see there's kind of a little target on there. And they were even talking, if Blue goes home, we need to get out Kyle. Even Gabe was saying, you know, we need to get out Kyle and stuff. And you're not seeing, and I love the challenge too. I love any endurance challenge where it's just like, hold it till it hurts and you got to drop and the people are shaky. And they got to balance, or, you know, anything that's like endurance related, I'm a big fan of. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're going to like, it's not a good idea to get off Kyle, but the only caveat would be he's the nicest, most likable person out there, as opposed to somebody like Gabe, which he hasn't really made any big moves. He's not likable. You know, it doesn't seem like he's he's not building relationship with anybody cross tribe. You don't see him even really talking to the other people. I guess you did see him. Who was the one he was talking where he like hugged her and he was like, yeah, he's like, yeah, right. Was that Rachel? I think it was Rachel. That was kind of funny.
I think it was Rachel.
That was kind of funny.
I don't know about that, but I do know that I hope Jeff said, and I think in an interview I saw, that there is one person from season 47 that's going to be invited to season 50. And just for the sake of our show, just for the sake of Spill the Immunity and Alex's accents, I really hope it's Kyle, the Uper accent that you have, and your Australian accent. I can't wait for that. I hope
I'll do a whole screenplay here. Yeah.
I know. I'll be running the whole thing. Well, we do know Rome is coming back.
We do know that?
I believe
he's gonna be hosting the show, right?
No, yeah, he's hosting the show. No, I think that he's like there. I've heard a lot of rumors about the fact that he'll be coming back.
Survivor,
I don't think 50.
Worst of all time.
I know.
You can go find your advantage.
We brought all the most annoying people from all previous survivors. So they have what was her name? The lady who like had a million job titles.
And I'm pissed.
Yeah. They bring in her back. They're bringing back Russell's.
Wasn't it Sue?
No, that was
Russell's nephew. They're gonna bring him back.
Brandon.
Brandon. They're gonna bring back Brandon. It was D something.
Debbie.
Debbie.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Debbie.
bring back Debbie. They're gonna bring back Philip. That would kind of be an epic season.
Brandon,
the giant, you know, the failure.
Isn't it right? Abby Marie?
Abby Marie would be a part of it. Oh, can we do that one episode? Is cast the what do we call it? Just the no, I want to call them all annoying, but that's the word I'd use.
Yeah, Survivor worst players of all time season.
I'm here for it. Let's make it.
I think that's a good idea. Well, I was reading some Survivor online forums, and they were saying Survivor is suffering right now because of the lack of the themes.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you see it. I mean, it's fine. It's still the most popular show on CBS. Granted, CBS doesn't really have anything else. But CBS is really
shots
all
fired.
They have is Survivor.
Shots fired.
I know.
CBS.
He's gonna be
trying to get on their good side.
He's gonna go trick or treating.
No, I mean,
shots fired.
we love Mandy and what is this guy? What is the show? Mandy and Mindy's First Marriage. Oh my god! Oh, I love that show. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, it's the worst. I haven't even watched it, but it's like with Jamie Lynn Spears and some other guy. They always
Oh my god!
The Summit. You guys aren't watching The Summit? What?
Oh, the first 7 seconds of it.
Yeah, the first 7 seconds exactly.
Yeah.
So I was just saying, bring the themes back. I want the themes. Survivor, heroes versus hustlers versus healers. That's my favorite.
I mean, speaking of themes, rumors. I just heard rumors again today about season 50 being the Eras tour. They're stealing a little something from Tay. They're going to do like players from every 1 through 10, 11 through 20, 21 through 30, like 3 players from each one or something. 4 players from each one. I don't know. And I actually do kind of like that. I think
there's 2 seasons I do want, and one is the one that Alex is talking about with the most annoying people. Like, there's got to be a fun title for that one because that would be I would love that. We should do a draft. Second one that I would like to see is there was a Survivor org, one of those online things where it was heart, mind, and gut. 3 different tribes where people that played more of the mental game, and then heart was like the Caroline maybe of that type of player, and then gut would just be those that just like lay it on the line and just vote with their instincts or whatever. So that would be interesting to me. I don't know how you'd be able to best find those players. I don't know if everybody would agree that player played that exact way, but man, I'm all on fire for this annoying Survivor idea. Please, anybody who's out there, submit who you think would be on that season. That'd be great.
That would be a lot of fun. I mean, it would just be because I got to have Sandra on there because I don't want to say that she's annoying, but man, she gave me such great TV and all the seasons she was on, and she was a villain, and I love a villain, and I want to see more villains, and she can eat all the sugar. Not that they get any of that stuff anymore, but you know what I mean? Like, I want to see Burn the Hat, like all those things.
Just Survivor villains.
The lady who put the dirt in the old man's nice shoes on the Jimmy Johnson season. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I'll have her back.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? The football player who was like, a giant jerk. It was the couple season.
The baseball player, right? It
was a baseball player. Yeah, the baseball player.
John Rocker.
John Rocker. Yeah. I don't think I think I'd get carried away. I think they'd have to start shutting down the season. They'd be like, there was some pretty, confrontational
Which is why
people on the show.
We need to draft it because it's not going to happen.
Right.
So
we'll create it.
Put it in the books.
Well, I gotta address this. We are talking Survivor 47. If you like shows on CBS, it's maybe the only CBS show you like. We are talking about season 47. Yes, there are 46 other seasons you can watch besides this one. We're discussing every week. We recap what's happening on Survivor and give our very unimportant and hysterically funny opinions. No one's paying us to do this. We just do this because we love the dang show so much.
I will say, though, this is my last comment, and we'll get back to episode 8, season 47 of the best show on the face of the planet, Survivor. But I think the reason why, one of the strongest reasons why there's 47 seasons of this, I think it's unlike Amazing Race. It's unlike Traders. It's unlike, maybe not unlike Big Brother. Maybe Big Brother shares this, but the fact is there's so many pieces to this game of Survivor that no matter what season you watch, everybody's going to play it differently because when you get voted off, who you get voted off by, why you got voted off by them, it's all different. We saw, you know, episode 5,467 of Tribal Council. We've never seen a whole entire tribe have to vote for themselves because one person from another tribe got a special letter from somebody on the other side. Like, that's great. So welcome to the family, Trine or Trine.
The great thing about Survivor 2 is you watch the old seasons and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm back in the early 90s, 2000s, and the vibe and the people, and you get like it's a slice of life, and every season is like the slice of life, and then you have this legacy. You know, you can see the tribal councils and how they've gone and how the game has progressed, and they've done a great job of updating it and changing it and making it more dynamic as they've gone along. And you know, before, and it was the Trailblazer. I mean, it was the original reality TV show, which has spawned all these other reality TV shows, which are really in likeness to Survivor, but none of them. And I think another thing too is they have an island in Fiji. You know, you can't get the rights to go to this island anymore. I mean, since they've been around for what, 20 years or whatever it is, like they actually have the most amazing location. Why? Because they've been in good relations with these Fijian islands and have this, you know, Survivor apparatus, you know, for the last, you know, I don't even think you could do this show anymore. Like literally, I don't even think another show could even replicate Survivor in the way that they replicate it, in the beaches that they have and the challenges that they have and the space that they occupy. And because they're small, I mean, these are small islands. There's a really small area where you can do this. And you've seen them, they've gone, you know, now I guess there's just Survivor Island, right? So there's just one island, I think, that they own in Fiji.
Yeah. And they actually, you know, when we don't see them foraging for things like to build their shelters with and stuff like that, that is because they actually do bring things in for that. Because they don't want, if they were
there'd be no island anymore.
Tearing things down to build their structures, right? Then they would be doing damage to the ecosystem there and everything else. And so that is why there are poles brought in and planks and whatnot, so that they're not disrupting. The island is, you know, the least amount possible, which I think
is still there of survival.
They're not burning it down. They used to light it all on fire and create a giant bonfire on the beach. And it's like, if you create a bonfire like that, I mean, it's on sand, so I think it's fine, but yeah, they used to light the entire thing on fire. I'm like, what the heck? It's cool TV.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. So you know, that gets us back to the question, and I don't know if we ever really answered it, which is, how is this season ranking of Survivor seasons?
A large part of it, if you have, Bree, your answer at the beginning of this was you really love the old school mentality of the game. And the great thing about the first, you know, 6 seasons is there was really nothing that really hurt somebody's game a lot. Now, there were times, don't get me wrong, like not knowing a merge is coming or a new idol being played or whatever. Those are all fine. But nowadays, I don't think on this season in particular, there hasn't been a advantage or an idol hide or type of situation scenario that really screwed somebody's game in a seemingly unfair way. It's hard to say what's fair and what's unfair in the game of Survivor, but I haven't seen anything that's been like, well, that was completely, you know, screwy for that person.
Yeah, it was kind of a ripoff I feel bad for her. Johanna said Shambo on Survivor the worst. Shambo. You gotta have Shambo.
I liked Shambo.
No, she was a nice lady. But I mean, the mullet.
Banu.
I mean, the giant bot. Yeah, I don't know if the CBS has like the insurance. You know, I might be him and Brandon, right? A little bit too nutty, a little bit too crazy. But I think how this season ranks. New era. I mean, we're looking pretty good. I mean, it all comes down to the end, right? All comes down to the end. All comes down to who's the winner, who's the rightful winner. I think last season was kind of tarnished by the Kenzie win. I mean, the rightful winner of Survivor, Charlie, did not win. You know, that kind of puts just hurts the season, right? It's kind of like we started this one in the middle, but Battle of the Sexes. I don't know if that was called, but it was like women versus men. And I think at the end of that, you know, I don't remember. You guys remember Battle of the Sexes? And it was Jenna. I think she won, right?
Yeah.
This is the most informative.
Jenna won the first one.
Yeah. And there was like controversy around that because it wasn't like she was supposed to win. You've had these seasons where, where the right person didn't win in the opinion of the audience, and what's the core of what Survivor is and like what it stands for. And it is about strategy, and is it about playing the game in a unique way and earning the victory, right? And what that means, and and who is the rightful winner, right? And there's a lot of controversy even around that. What does it mean to be the rightful winner of Survivor? Is it like with Kenzie, the argument was, well, we liked her more than you.
Right.
We just didn't really like you, Charlie, at the end of the day, and it was Maria really it came down to, but there's other people who voted too. So what do you guys think of that? I mean, does the wrong winner, because I remember there were some seasons where the person I didn't want to win would win, and I'd be like, screw that season. I'm never watching Survivor. I love Survivor. I always watch Survivor, but
and I will kind of jump back on saying that it's all about the ending as well. One of my favorite surprises of the season, and there was other pieces to the season that were memorable as well, but I hate the concept, but it was such a fun concept. And that was the Outcasts, Rupert, Pearl Islands, where a whole tribe of people in the audience didn't even know that we're going to welcome 6 people back to play this game. And it was the first time we did that. And at the time, I don't think I would have said that Sandra Diaz Twine was a favorite of mine, that I really enjoyed that she won over a couple of the other players that were on that season. But I thought as a whole that season did a great job throughout. The stealing of shoes at the beginning, the Outcast coming back, Rupert. So I will fight back a little bit on it's all about the ending of a season, except for the Chris Matthews thing. So that's what I'm gonna hit on first. Bree, go ahead.
Well, sorry to jump in, but I want to address Brennan's comment. Yeah. There are no wrong winners of Survivor. You play the jury to help create. I don't agree with that. I mean, maybe a little controversial here, but I mean, you get a bunch of dummies on the jury. Yeah. And I mean, these people don't respect the game. They don't like the game, and I know Bree's not a big fan, but Russell, I mean, this guy should have won the game. That guy should have won the game. Russell should have won the game. I mean, he played the best game. Every audience member, he was the fan favorite, and I guess we're looking at it from a different perspective. We're looking at the edit. He was a giant jerk and all, it's all different stuff. But, I do think that there is such a thing as a rightful winner of Survivor. There is such a thing. Charlie played a perfect game. He duped Kenzie. He outwitted, he outplayed, he outlasted. That's the rules. Now, can the jury members say, well, I don't like those rules, and I'm going to base it upon who I like? Yeah, they can, but Kenzie did not outwit. She did not outplay, and I guess she outlasted, but that's about it.
Well, I've spoken to Sandra, and I know exactly how they feel when they go to jury. Even though she hasn't made it to jury, she will tell you very, very strongly that you are spending, especially back in the day when these seasons were all like, it was a lot longer time that they were spending on this island. It wasn't the short seasons that we have now. You are exhausted, you are tired, you are starving, you have gone through it with this group of people, and it very, very, very much counts how much you like that person in the end, because you have spent all of this time with them, and we only see an hour and a half a week of what has transpired. And so yes, you definitely do vote with who you like and who has managed the jury and who has played, not only done the great things. I think there are moves that are big enough that you can't ignore, but then there are people like Russell who come in and they are just such horrendous people. The way they treat you, you can't see past that. And I think that Russell did that to many. He didn't care about jury management at all. It did not matter to him. And so no, I don't think Russell should have won, even though he was a master at part of the game. It is how you manage the jury. It is outwit, outplay, outlast. And, outwitting people is getting, to the end with the jury liking you and wanting to vote for you.
And that's tough too, right? Because I don't think that I don't think that Russell should have lost because he didn't deserve it. I think that Natalie should have won because she did. To be able to ride a coattail of somebody who's pissed everybody off is big. So I think Natalie is a rightful winner, and maybe that's a hot opinion there, whatever they say, whatever these kids say these days. But when it comes to like a Jenna Maraska, who tried to quit the games, from what I understand, numerous times. That is a more difficult one for me to really accept. I do accept Kinsey as a winner, because I do think she played a super crazy, great social game. And again, we have to remember that, yes, there was, why did help me with Charlie's Maria. Okay, Maria. I still don't understand the complications of why she voted the way she does, but Kinsey also had to have 3 or 4 more votes to beat Charlie. So obviously there was something there. So I think of those 3, which I think are 3 completely different situations, the Jenna Maraska win is the most difficult pill for me to swallow.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't like voting on sour grapes. Like, you're bitter. Okay. It's a game, bro. It's like, these people, I'm going to be devastated. I understand, like, Survivor is emotional. If I got voted off first or voted off before, I would be like, oh man, I really missed out.
So you would say that you don't like it, but would you say that you disagree with it?
With like Russell's play?
With somebody who votes completely on emotions.
No, yeah, I just don't think it's not who is your best friend out here. It's a game, and it's based upon, and this is like from a fan and like what the fans think. And that is a separate conversation, what the players are doing in the moment and, their relationship and their experience out there. But we watch it's like UFC fighting, or it's like sports. It's entertainment. It's a game. And you want to see the people who are deserving of it win, and not the people who are undeserving because of some, technicality, or because of the ref is making this call because the ref is corrupt, and, and they have feelings in the game and they bet on the game in this other way. Well,
that's NFL football. But yeah, I mean, I see what you're talking about, right?
You know what I mean?
It's but I would say too, like, Maria was, close to Charlie, and you'd think that she would like him the best, but she still voted for Kinsey. So like, I don't think, unless you guys, here's my suggestion. When you guys are done playing the game, when you are done being on the jury or winning it, then you can report back and tell me what it was like to be there, because I think there's so much we don't see. And I think there's so much that goes into it that unless we have been, and we need to get some more people that have been on the jury to come on so that we can talk to them about what was that feeling in that moment like.
And that's why we like the show, is because we can't predict it. Because that's how complex people are. It's one of the best parts about this. We got this election coming up on Tuesday, and I don't think there is any wrong answers. There's wrong ways to go about it, but there's so much. It's so complex, and I just love that these aren't just 2 people running for president. These are 18 players playing a game of Survivor. So that's the beauty of why we love this game.
Yeah. Well, it's just so dynamic, right? And you have this, you get to read people, and it's a glimpse into human psychology and the human condition with Survivor, and it's really an interesting game. I mean, you could have 3 seasons of podcasts, multiple podcasts across hundreds of different niche, tiny podcasters having hour-long conversations every week about this game. I mean, do you see that phenomenon about other podcasts? Not really. I mean, maybe with
you can have podcasters that know the game very, very, very well and go on the show and still screw it up. So
really,
no.
But you know what I mean? Like, we had 2 podcasters go out really early in this game, and one's on Rob Has a Podcast, and so like you would think that she had a pretty good understanding, like we think we do, of the dynamics and how it goes and how you're perceived and what's important and how to make the right plays. And like, not at all. So
well, just like us, we've been watching this for 47 seasons, and the person doing best on our rankings was the person who didn't even vote for his 2 on his team. That's Brennan. And they were the last 2 people we assumed would win this game. And yet both of them still have a pretty good shot at this if they're able to keep playing the game and stepping out of the limelight.
Well, it brings us back to what Jeff said at the beginning. There's this difference, in ourselves and in the game of our idealized self, who we think we will play as. And then there's life, and it's who are you actually, and what are the actions that you take? And it's not only you, the actions that you take, it's how people perceive you in life. And I think that's another thing is we go through life and we try our best and we do our thing and we have our job and we work really hard, but life comes in and life changes that, and other people influence us in particular ways. And so I think we could all see in Survivor, us at our job, us at our job, or us in school growing up, or us in, these different stages of our life when we're put together with these groups of people, and we got to figure it out, and we got to find our own position and our own, tribe and our own alliances in life. Right. And so that's why it's, even in business, right? You think, oh, wow. I think I gain a lot in, I think you learn a lot about interpersonal dynamics and how to communicate with people and build trust and build, there's so many things that it's really an educational show, and about, just how to interact with people. Right.
100%. I love that perspective. And I think it is, you do learn a lot. I've learned a lot watching the 47 seasons. The one thing I haven't learned about this season, which maybe I'm off with this or just not remembering things correctly, but we have not really heard backstories on anyone this year.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Zero. No backstories.
Well, you don't know what Genevieve's fake
I love
job is. What is Genevieve's fake job? Right? Nobody knows. Yeah, you don't know anything about anybody. Who's Gabe? What is his home life like? All you know is Sue is a pilot and that, whatever. She's and she that's really really interesting.
Strange? I just was like,
why? Like the previous seasons, it was all about the backstory, and it was all about this overcoming and all about this. And we kind of even criticized that a little bit. It was like, it was a little bit too much like they were building these extreme underdog stories and like everybody was overcoming some ancestral trauma
eating
or
in their
something.
Car and crying.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing that's is it something that doesn't happen until we look at who is on the jury? Or I always remember it being all the way through.
It was like season one. They were doing it for the people pre-merge too. Like, cause I remember Jackson's story, and he got voted, or he got taken home out of the game like before the game even got to a tribal council. So I love the fact, I think there's more action to show. I still feel like I'm not seeing the whole entire story because there's that much action right now. I don't need to know your backstory. Is it great? I can probably go to 4 different podcasts and 3 different YouTube sites to check out your backstory if I really wanted to see it. So I love this season.
Yeah, same.
Talk about next week.
Yeah, we got to talk about next week. We got to make our picks because we're running out of time. But I wanted to give a shout out to Trini. Well, welcome from Norway, Velkommen. Yeah. So we're so happy to have you here. And it is Robinson USA. That is actually Robinson. That's how it kind of started, was from that basic idea over there. So it's interesting enough that we've kind of adopted it here and turned it into Survivor. And it's been this incredible long running show that we so enjoy and have podcasts about. Okay, moving into our picks for who is going home next week. I'm going to start with you, Alex. Who do you think is the biggest jeopardy of going home?
Good question.
And this is if we think it's going to be like a one, like everybody gets a vote type, normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is hard. I mean, honestly, because it's so evenly matched now. You kind of got to look at I think it might be Sam. Because I think there will be some sort of kind of girl alliance where they will kind of stick together. I think they'll try to target Agata. I think, but now Kyle's on the outside. But you saw that he voted with the numbers, and even though he's the most honest dumbass out there, he, I think, understands the numbers and will probably stick with that tribe. And I think people would be fine with that. They're not going to judge him for voting with the numbers. And then if they do change, so I think it's going to be Sam. I think Andy is going to cause some chaos there. I think they're going to see Sierra and Sam as a couple, and there's not a lot of other, So I'll either say Sam, or I think Caroline, because Caroline's kind of on the outside. And they did, I think, mention that, we need to get Caroline off, and they see her as, maybe more powerful than she is. So Sam or Caroline? What do you think, Brandon?
Oh my gosh. It is hard. It is hard. I was much more confident in last week than I am right now. Does Sue have a bloody idol?
Yes.
Right now?
Okay. That's a good point.
So I'm almost wondering if this is a big Sue highlight, that she plays the idol for Gabe, saves Gabe, And then someone else goes home, and I'm going to think that, Rachel finally does something, get this girls' alliance together, something like that. And Sue says, no, I'm not having this because the first guy you're voting out is Gabe. So I think there's going to be something there in which they are going to send a girl home, and it will be Rachel. That's my guess.
Interesting. Just gets saved and then gets voted off.
Yes. I think that gives her a little bit more power. Not enough to do anything with it. She was given this. So I'm going to go with Rachel, but I'm not confident in this pick.
Yeah. I mean, is all that they have left is Sam, Saul, Kyle, and Andy? Is that it? Is that just the 4 of them that's left for the guys?
Gabe,
Sam, Solomon, Kyle, Gabe,
Andy.
Gabe.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's 5 versus 6. 5 men versus 6 women.
I do think that they're going to target Sam. I think that that's probably going to happen, but I also think Kyle's in a very precarious position with those 2 wins, technically 2 wins, I guess. I think that they're still going to come for them because, that was their target. So I think Kyle's in tough space right now.
I agree. Yeah. Well, and they're not going to put themselves out there to try to save Kyle. They'll say, "Oh, no, they sacrifice Kyle. It will be a little bit weaker. Then we can go after somebody else, and we're still pretty tight." I think I think you're right, Bree. I think that he probably will win immunity, though. That's kind of what I was thinking. Is that he probably will go on this immunity streak for whatever reason.
I think it depends on what it is. We've seen some physical challenges now, and I think we're going to see something more puzzling in this next one. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I would say Sam, but I still think that this fake idol is going to pay off for him somehow.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be interesting. We're going to see it next week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, guys. This is always fun. Trini, welcome to just a shout out to our people that are hanging out with us, Johanna and Brennan. As always, we love having you here. And Trini, hey, good to have you all the way from
Come back next week.
Come back and check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you for IKEA. Yes, of course.
Yeah, catch up on all 47 seasons, and then you'll be caught up, and you can join us next week.
That's right. Just watch the next one. Thanks for seeing us. We'll see you guys next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.